3, 2, 1. I study non-human animal behavior, and so thought I might first need to explain why I am interested in the question of possible benefits of diversity in groups. It's because I have long been interested in behavioral complexity, and diversity is often a key component of complexity. Much of my thinking about diversity comes from the work of Scott Page from the University of Michigan. Page argues that diversity in complex systems, like human groups, often results in groups being more robust, more innovative, and better able to balance the exploration of problem space and the exploitation of solutions. But what about in animals? We've begun to address this question by studying mixed species flocks of songbirds here in eastern Tennessee. Mixed species groups in animals are surprisingly common throughout the world, yet typically not the focus of study for questions of group-level complexity or diversity. Our research project began with a naturalistic observation study of mixed species flocks of Carolina chickadees, tufted titmice, and white-breasted nuthatches. This is an interesting study system for many reasons, including differences in how central and how dominant each species is in the group. We studied flocks at 46 different sites at 3 wonderful locations within a half-hour drive of UT's campus, the Oak Ridge Arboretum and Forestry Station, Iams Nature Center, and Norris Dam State Park. At most of these sites, we had 2 or more of these 3 target species present, and at the remaining sites, only 1. Flocks in our study had been using our platform feeders for months as an unpredictable but high-quality food source, seen in the left. On a test day, we hung a novel hopper feeder from the now empty platform feeder in the middle and coded whether a bird solved the problem, like the chickadee in the upper right. We collected several mixed species flock composition metrics, and principal components analysis revealed a first PC score that mapped onto flock diversity. We found for both chickadees on the left graph and titmice on the right, the more species diverse the flocks were, the more likely birds were to solve the novel feeder task. Furthermore, for successful chickadee flocks, the more diverse their mixed species flocks were, the quicker individuals were at solving the novel feeder task in the left, and the greater the number of seeds taken per bird in the right, compared to successful chickadees in less diverse flocks. We did not find this effect for titmice. As a follow-up study, we wanted to experimentally control mixed species flock composition, now focusing just on chickadees and titmice. We captured birds from the same field sites at the same day and time, kept the birds in large outdoor aviaries for a few weeks for other research, and then presented novel feeder tasks. This figure shows the variation in flock sizes and compositions for this study, with each dot representing a different aviary flock. My co-authors were PhD student Brittany Coppinger on the left and undergraduate student Shannon Eppert with the giraffe. Our metric of diversity was the proportion of the other species in the flocks. Aviary birds had been used to taking mealworms from small white ramekin bowls seen in the upper left. The novel feeder tasks involved a fear of novelty test in the lower left, a lid removal test in the upper right, and a cloth manipulation test in the lower right with mealworms in the bowls. We found that successful titmouse flocks had a lower proportion of chickadees in them for all 3 novel feeder tasks, which went against our expectations based upon our previously described field study. Here, titmice seem to be benefiting by being in flocks with more titmice. For chickadees, we found no effect of proportion of titmice on the likelihood of solving novel feeder tasks, but found that successful chickadee flocks generally solved the task quicker, the higher the proportion of titmice in their flocks, particularly in the lid task, where titmice often solved the task early in the trials. So we have evidence from 2 different experiments to suggest that birds in these mixed species flocks, particularly chickadees, can benefit from the presence of those other species. But birds are kind of weird animals, and they may not even be real if you follow certain conspiracy theories. Are there diversity benefits in other species? Yes. Julia Jones and colleagues manipulated the temperatures outside honeybee hives and found that honeybee colonies that were genetically diverse were able to maintain internal hive temperatures better than honeybee colonies that were genetically uniform or homogeneous. Campbell's monkeys and Diana monkeys spend less time being vigilant when in groups with the other species, the black bars, compared to when in single species groups in the light bars. These primates are probably frightened much of the time as predators abound. Being with the other species allows them to lower their guard more to forage freely. Speaking of frightened primates, Tucker Carlson has put forth the rather bold hypothesis that for our species, it is never true that diversity is your strength. Are we exceptions to the diversity bonuses rule? Maybe the diversity benefits I've been talking about apply only to non-human animals and not to us. If Tucker Carlson had bothered to look into the science, he might have known of the large and growing body of research, including experimental studies, to indicate that human groups make better decisions when they are more diverse. This slide captures just a tiny sliver of the published research in a wide range of domains. There are lots of arguments for increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion in our workplaces. In this country and in many other countries, we can confront histories of racism and sexism, for example. Increasing diversity can help create a more just world. And, as I hope I've shown, we simply can all do better in more diverse groups. I was going to use the top title for the talk, but worried that it introduced one too many divisive concepts for some in our state legislature. So I'll leave you simply with, even the birds benefit from diversity. And with sincere thanks for listening.